As a Kazekage, Gaara is the worst and weakest. In the Shippuden era, Gaara was the first Jinchuriki to lose against Akatsuki. Even though at the moment of the Tsunagakure attack, Shikaku had helped him to protect the village from the threat of Akatsuki who would target him. But in the Boruto era, Gaara is much weaker than in the Shippuden era. And as a Kage, Gaara's ability and strength are not able to fight Shinju one-on-one. Although this question has some of you who do not accept the fact that Gaara is weak and even think it is wrong, it is true that Gaara is not completely weak. And I admit that Gaara only looks strong when he is young. As a Jinchuriki, Gaara is considered one of the most feared shinobi, especially when he became Lee's opponent during the Chunin exam. But in essence, after entering the Shippuden era, Gaara was not entirely strong, especially when he fought Deidara. And in the Boruto era, it is a pity that he had to lose, even being protected by his son. And if we say that Gaara is the weakest Kazekage, do you agree? Maybe this isn't a nerf or anything like that, but in my opinion, the Boruto era doesn't have strong shinobi like in the past. Even worse, the characters that we thought were strong are looking weak now. Naruto and Sasuke, for example. But if we talk about the weakest character, there will be a big possibility that in the future Killer Bee will become Shinju's opponent. But calm down, I'm not saying this without reason. And since the story has already entered the Tsunagakure arc, it's certain that some of the strongest ninja from other villages will face the same fate as Gaara. We know that Matsuri was able to meet and fight Gaara because she followed the tracks of Boruto and his allies. And now, Jura has given Code the job of finding and killing Boruto and his allies. As someone who can be considered a villain, it is likely that Code will also travel to follow in the tracks of Boruto and Kashin Koji. Most likely, this will happen in some villages that we haven't seen before. And most likely, Code will meet some shinobi that will be his opponent. But we don't know if Code's plans or actions are the same as those of Shinju. When Code and Sumeka defeat shinobi, they usually bite them and turn them into Shinju. However, not all shinobi will become Shinju. If you look at this shinobi, has he become Shinju? Absolutely not, right? So maybe there are some criteria that will be able to become Shinju when the shinobi loses against Code. And that means maybe after Gaara's arc as a Jinchuriki who was defeated by Shinju, there will be a big possibility that the next one will be Killer Bee. Because after in chapter 15 it was revealed that as a Kage was defeated by Shinju, there is nothing impossible if the next one is Killer Bee, right? But guys, if we talk about who will be the next victim of Shinju, there are some interesting parts in chapter 15 that you might not notice. The reason Gaara attacked Matsuri, maybe many people choose to skip this interesting fact. There's an unnatural strangeness with Gaara's actions, choosing to fight against Matsuri. Whereas Matsuri did not invade Tsunagakure, right? Matsuri said that she came to that place because she was only following the track of Boruto and his allies. And that means Matsuri actually did not attack. But because Gaara attacked, then inevitably Matsuri had to fight him. But on the other hand, we know that Boruto is already known as a traitor to Konoha village. And because of that, in the 13th chapter, the Tsunagakure shinobi were busy looking for the whereabouts of Boruto, who was hiding at that time. Konoha must have asked the other villages for help to capture Boruto. And maybe that was the right reason why Boruto was targeted by them. But strangely, why, when Boruto was targeted by the Shinju, Gaara chose to stop the actions of the Shinju? Has Shikamaru asked the other villages to capture Boruto alive instead of killing him? And is that the reason for Gaara's actions that we see in this 15th chapter? Maybe it makes sense. But what if Boruto has met Gaara before? What if Gaara had the same thoughts as Shikamaru? He refuses to believe that Boruto is an outsider who is known as Naruto's killer. And from those two possibilities, maybe the reason Gaara still maintains to fight Shinju is because he believes in Boruto. Then what do you think? Do you have another reason behind all this? And in another interesting part, somehow I see that Gaara has the same fate as Naruto. The point is that they're both sealed by their own adopted son. As you know, Naruto already considers Kawaki as his own son. So there is nothing wrong if we assume that Naruto is Kawaki's adoptive father, although the difference is only in an undetectable and unknowable place. But in essence, they are both sealed by their own adopted son. Besides that, a toad Kashin Koji who was in Shikamaru's room. The existence of Koji's toad, which is still in Shikamaru's room, provides a new clue to the next events that are likely to occur. As you know, currently Shikamaru is not getting help from Ino to be able to communicate with Boruto anymore, right? Then, how can Shikamaru continue to make contact with Boruto? The easy way is with the help of Kashin Koji. With the appearance of the toad Kashin Koji, who has not come out of Shikamaru's room, it means that Koji plans to mediate Shikamaru's communication to Boruto. But if we're talking about this toad, would Koji's Kashin actions not be noticed by Ida? Probably not. After all, Koji's toad was able to enter Shikamaru's room without being seen easily by Ida's eyes. By sneaking secretly into Shikamaru's cloak, it is likely that Koji can communicate with Shikamaru from behind his cloak, just like how Boruto communicates with Koji. And if you analyze, Shikamaru himself should have gotten the answer he wanted about who the person who gave information to Boruto in the next chapter was. I admit that the Kashin Koji's toad is just silent and doesn't make any movements. But who knows if behind all this, Kashin Koji will do and say something in the next chapter through that toad, right? And because of that, Shikamaru will know everything. We should be pretty sure in the next chapter if Boruto contacts Shikamaru through Koji's Kashin toad in his room. He will tell Shikamaru that Kawaki has agreed to help him fight the Shinju. This means that now Shikamaru doesn't need to think about the problem of Boruto being killed by Kawaki. He only needs to focus on creating a strategy against the Shinju who utilize the claws of people who become trees. Believe it or not, Shikamaru's brain is still as smart as ever. In the near future, he will surely show the quality of his intelligence to help Boruto and Kawaki finish off the Shinju and uncover the motive behind Sasuke becoming a tree. And in another interesting part, also in chapter 15, the power of the iron sand that Ryu will release must have a connection with the ability of the claw marks on his body. This is because Code's claw marks contain iron. And as you know, Shinki is one of the shinobi who can manipulate iron. So it's very natural that we see parts of his claw marks that can be used to create iron sand. But of the abilities shown in this 15th chapter, the Ryu sensory ability is the most eye-catching. Maybe you are confused why Shinki can be more sensitive to chakra passing through claw marks than Jura and others. Actually, the reason behind it all is clear. It's all because Ryu can manipulate iron. With that manipulation ability, he could have sensed Code's chakra passing through the iron in the claw mark. And with this ability, it means that it is only useful against fellow claw mark users. So what do you think? Is Ryu the main counter to Code? And besides that, what's interesting about this part of the chapter is that Code has the same fate as Sasuke. He has really been made into a clown that is quite entertaining for Boruto fans. But from all this sufferings, I have a suspicion that Code will really be the last villain in this Boruto story. Even though in this vote you prefer Amado because he has Shibai cells, but try to listen to my reason first. It seems that Code will become Otsutsuki without the need to eat the chakra fruit that was produced from the destruction of planet Earth. And perhaps Juro will be the main factor for Code to help him become Otsutsuki without the need to eat the chakra fruit. But so far, we are still holding on to Juro's promise to give the chakra fruit to Code. But in order to achieve that, Code would have to help Juro to kill Boruto and let Shinju eat Kawaki. But would it be that easy for Code and Juro to do that? It seems like it would sound impossible, especially if Code has to kill Boruto. Against Kawaki alone, I'm sure he can't match his strength. And because of that, maybe Code will become Otsutsuki in a different way. Who knows, right? In conclusion, in order to be able to do the job that Juro ordered Code to do, the most likely thing to happen is to help Code gain his power first. I don't know how that will be done, but it is certain that Juro must first help Code gain enough power to fight Boruto. Well, although in the end, the result will be the same. And maybe the most interesting part of this chapter is the revelation that Amado made Kawaki like a CCTV. And it was revealed that Amado could monitor Boruto through Kawaki's eyes. And that means Amado has implanted some chips or other parts that can monitor Kawaki's whereabouts anywhere and anytime without Kawaki himself knowing. And the biggest reason is that Amado will not let Kawaki die until he manages to bring his daughter back to life. So from chapter 15, which is the most interesting part according to you guys, so maybe that's all we can discuss this time, I'm Nim. See you in the next episode. Bye bye, Dadabayo.